Life had always been quite predictable for me as a fitness trainer at a community gym. My daily routine involved assisting clients with their fitness goals, which kept me occupied and content, away from any personal dramas. However, everything shifted when Liam entered the gym. "Hi, I'm looking to change my workout routine. Do you have any challenging exercises to start with?" he inquired with a casual tone, yet his intense gaze suggested he was not just any gym goer. Unlike beginners who often hesitated around gym equipment, Liam appeared experienced and seemed to be seeking something beyond a regular workout. I guided him to the weights area and said, "Let's see what you can handle." That initial training session evolved into a regular schedule, and our brief conversations gradually became deeper, more intimate exchanges. Liam owned a quaint family restaurant renowned for its authentic Italian cuisine. "It's all in the sauce," he would boast, "and no one does it like my mom." He spoke of his mother with a blend of respect and mild exasperation, revealing deep family connections. One day, after an especially vigorous workout, Liam surprised me by asking, "Susan, how about dinner at my place? You can meet my mom and taste that famous sauce." Taken aback yet intrigued, I accepted his invitation. The dinner was delightful, the food was exceptional, and the atmosphere was unexpectedly cozy. His mother, Doris, was incredibly welcoming, her laughter hearty, although her eyes seemed to study me closely. Liam's sister, Ashley, also joined us, her demeanor slightly abrasive, her comments sharp. "So, Susan, Liam tells us you're quite the fitness expert," she remarked with a sly grin, sizing up my physique. "Ever deal with hopeless cases? Or do you only improve the already fit?" I responded with a smile. "I believe everyone has potential. It's about finding the right motivation." Liam was a constant fixture in those early days. He always arrived at the gym at the same time, often lingering to chat a bit longer. "You know, I never really believed in fate or anything," he confessed one evening as we were closing the gym. "But meeting you, maybe I was wrong." His words were genuine, a blend of earnest awkwardness and charm. Despite my inner caution urging me to proceed slowly, I was falling for him, quickly and deeply, like a novice lifting too much weight without a spotter. On a cool evening, as we walked to our cars, Liam stopped, turned to me with a serious look, and said, "Susan, I'm not great at fancy speeches, and I don't have any slick lines, but I like you a lot. What do you say we make this official?" His approach was direct, with no pretenses, just straightforward honesty. I couldn't help but smile, my heart pounding with excitement. Yes, let's see where this journey takes us. And just like that, I was no longer just a fitness trainer. I was Liam's girlfriend and soon his wife. Moving into Liam's mother's house shortly after our wedding wasn't the fairy tale ending I had envisioned. But for Liam, it was important. From the moment I moved in with Liam's family, life became increasingly challenging. Living with his mother Doris and sister Ashley was difficult, as they openly expressed their disapproval of me joining the family, and the tension escalated daily. The house was always lively, yet I somehow found myself burdened with an overwhelming amount of chores, especially after exhausting days at the gym. I'd return home to a never-ending list of tasks, with the old washing machine becoming my nemesis due to its frequent breakdowns. It seemed to have a personal vendetta against me, yet no one else seemed to notice or care, particularly not Doris or Ashley. I remember one evening while wrestling with the malfunctioning machine post-dinner, I overheard them mocking me in the kitchen. "She doesn't even know what she's doing." Ashley's laughter was clear and unreserved. "Watch. She'll flood the basement next." Their laughter stung more than I cared to admit. Despite the hurt, I focused on fixing the machine, refusing to let their words affect me. The difficulties extended beyond chores. Cooking was a particular sore point. Italian cuisine held a sacred place in their home, and my attempts to master it were met with disdain. Following Doris's recipes precisely never seemed to pan out. One night, as I grappled with what should have been a straightforward pasta dish, Ashley watched from the doorway, her smirk evident. "Is that supposed to look like that?" she quipped. "It's nothing like Mom's." I stirred the stubborn sauce, frustration simmering. "Well, I'm trying my best here." Ashley's response was cutting. "Maybe your best isn't good enough."
Did you ever think of that?
I felt isolated, with Liam often withdrawing further each time his mother or sister criticized me. He never defended me. His silence felt as harsh as their mocking laughter. At times, he would murmur, "Hey, Susan, just leave it. It's not worth it," trying to avoid confrontation. Mealtimes felt like navigating a lion's den. I would set the dishes on the table, hoping for a peaceful meal, but the atmosphere was anything but. "You know, in Italy, they'd probably ban you from the kitchen for this," Doris would joke as she tasted my food, the others joining in with chuckles. "Yeah, maybe stick to gym stuff," Ashley would add, her comment like a backhanded peace offering I apparently didn't deserve. I would nod, smile, and swallow the hurt, my frustration simmering like the sauce that never seemed right. The challenges of living with Liam's family were exacerbated when I became pregnant. The chores, already predominantly my responsibility, became even more demanding. Instead of offering help or understanding, Doris and Ashley's hostility seemed to intensify. One afternoon, as I vacuumed the living room slowly due to my growing belly, Doris watched me for a moment before sighing dramatically, a sound heavy with disapproval. "Susan, you missed a spot over there. And look at how slow you're moving. This house is going to fall apart at this rate," she pointed out, indicating a corner I hadn't reached yet. Straightening up, feeling the strain in my back, I replied, "I'm doing the best I can, Doris. It's a bit harder with the baby." She just stared and shook her head, unimpressed by my efforts. This ongoing struggle within the household was a daily battle I was unprepared for, testing my resilience and patience at every turn. Despite the physical and emotional demands of pregnancy, my need for understanding was often dismissed. "You need to toughen up," was a common refrain around the house, which left me biting my tongue to keep from retaliating. Ashley's lack of empathy was just as challenging. One day, while I was folding laundry, she barged into the room and criticized my work. "You do know these aren't folded right, don't you? They should be able to stand up on their own like how Mom taught us." She then proceeded to undo the neat stack I had made, refolding a shirt with precise, sharp movements. My frustration mounted. "Ashley, I appreciate the lesson, but I've folded clothes before." "I'm not an idiot," I said, trying to keep my composure. Her response was a cold, dismissive smile. "Could have fooled me. But hey, if you're okay with being mediocre, who am I to argue?" Her words stung like a physical slap, leaving me feeling helpless and undervalued. This pattern extended to the kitchen, where every meal I prepared was subject to criticism or outright ridicule, especially if I dared attempt Italian cuisine. One evening, determined to make a simple pasta dish, I was stirring the pot when Ashley entered. "What's that supposed to be?" she asked skeptically. "It's spaghetti carbonara." "I thought it might be nice for dinner," I replied, hopeful for a softer reaction. She sampled it with an exaggerated grimace. "Nice? This is what you call nice? I wouldn't feed this to a dog. It's all wrong." Frustrated, I responded more firmly than usual. "Well, it's what's for dinner. If you don't like it, feel free to make something else." The tension in the household only escalated from there, exacerbated by Liam's frequent absences. He was always busy at the restaurant, and on the rare occasions he was home, he avoided confrontations. When I expressed how his sister and mother's behavior affected me, he would simply sigh and say, "I know it's tough, Susan, but try to hang in there. They'll warm up to you eventually. Just give it time." Hope that the birth of my son might improve relations proved futile. The extra weight I had gained during pregnancy became their new fodder for mockery. "Look at how much she's eating," Doris would laugh as I tried to nourish myself for breastfeeding. "Are you feeding a child or a small army?" One particularly painful day, while nursing my son in the living room, I heard Ashley mimic a cow's moo from the kitchen. The sound cut deep, bringing tears to my eyes. It was clear they viewed me merely as a utility for my child. Reaching my breaking point, I realized I needed to carve out something just for myself, a space where I wasn't just the criticized daughter-in-law or the underappreciated wife. That's when I decided to start my own YouTube channel and Instagram page. One morning, while Liam was at the restaurant and Ashley was out, I set up my old camera in the corner of our cramped guest room, Now my makeshift gym. I'm doing this for me, not for them, I muttered to myself, adjusting the camera angle. This was my stand to reclaim some independence and respect, 2 videos at a time. I began creating straightforward workout videos targeted at people like me, busy moms who often couldn't make it to the gym. At first, it felt strange to talk to a camera, pretending I was reaching an audience that might be interested in what I had to say. Despite the initial awkwardness, these recordings quickly became my sanctuary. My early attempts were rough, with hesitant introductions like, "Hey everyone, it's Susan here with a quick 15-minute workout perfect for busy moms. Let's get started." As my follower count increased, so did my confidence. I upgraded to a better camera and picked up tips on lighting and editing from online tutorials. My small project was evolving into something significant and wholly personal. One afternoon, while I was filming a low-impact cardio sequence, Ashley stormed into the room. "What the hell are you doing?" she demanded, eyeing the camera setup disdainfully. "Turning our home into your personal TV show now." I paused the recording, my heart racing not from the exercise but from the confrontation. "Yes, I am. It's something important to me, something that's mine," I responded. Ashley scoffed and surveyed the room with contempt. "You think you're some kind of star? Please, get over yourself, Susan." Although her words stung, I was learning to handle her scorn. "Well, it's not like I have your approval for anything else around here. I might as well do something I enjoy," I retorted. She rolled her eyes and left, but I quickly resumed recording, my voice firmer than before. As my digital presence grew, so did the opportunities. Brands began reaching out, offering free products for me to feature in my videos, and soon I received offers for sponsored posts. The first time a brand paid me for a feature, I was astounded. "I can't believe they're paying me for this," I exclaimed to Liam over dinner one night, hoping to share my excitement. "That's great, Susan," he replied, though distracted by troubles with his restaurant. "Just keep it quiet, okay? Mom and Ashley don't need to know about this." As I cleared the dinner plates, a notification pinged on my phone, a new comment, another follower, another step away from disdain, and towards something uniquely fulfilling. "You're doing amazing, Susan. Thanks for sharing your journey," the comment read. My channel was no longer just a hobby. It was a growing business, now generating more income than Liam's struggling restaurant. I began contributing $3,000 a month to help with household expenses, making it appear as if it was still Liam's contribution. Despite my success, Doris and Ashley continued to view me as a freeloader, sneering about my silly videos when they thought I couldn't hear. "She does nothing around here, just prances about making her silly videos," Doris would snipe. Ashley echoed her disdain, criticizing that I should be doing more traditional housework like a real woman. When Liam's restaurant hit a financial crisis, he approached me, looking more worn than ever. "The restaurant needs a cash injection badly. Can you help out?" he pleaded. Without hesitation, I transferred $15,000 for what he called urgent improvements. He was genuinely thankful, but it wasn't long before he sheepishly asked for another $6,000 for monthly bills. I agreed because I could afford it, despite the complex dynamics at home. Despite my efforts to support our family financially, I could feel an unsettling imbalance growing, not just in our finances, but also in our relationship. The tension in Liam's family home, which had always been strained, escalated to unbearable levels when Ashley married and her husband, Arthur, moved in. The already crowded house left little room for privacy, and any peace I had managed to carve out for myself and my son quickly evaporated. Doris, never one to hold back her harsh opinions, began calling me lazy and parasitic to my face. "You do nothing around here," she would snap as I juggled managing my online business with looking after my son. "Just taking up space." The situation worsened when Ashley announced her pregnancy, and Doris made it painfully clear that they needed more room, implying that my son and I were just in the way. "Soon there'll be another baby in the house, and we can't have freeloaders taking up space," Doris declared one evening, her gaze cutting into me. Then, as if the mounting home pressures weren't enough, Liam announced he needed to leave town for a few weeks to address urgent matters with his restaurant in another city. He packed and left after a quick goodbye, seemingly oblivious to the storm he was leaving behind. I continued my routine, taking my son to school and filming my videos in the park, trying to maintain some normalcy. However, the day everything fell apart started like any other, until it wasn't. Returning home from school with my son, we were shocked to find our belongings, suitcases, bags of clothes, even my son's toys, piled up outside the front door. Confused and heartbroken, I rang the doorbell, only to be met by the cold, unyielding faces of Doris and Ashley through the window. They opened the door just a crack, enough to speak but not to let us in. "You need to find somewhere else to stay," Doris stated, her voice harsh and firm. "What are you talking about? What about Liam? What will I tell him?" I demanded, my voice rising in panic and anger. Ashley laughed cruelly. "Tell him whatever you want. He's not here to care, is he?" Unable to reach Liam and my calls going unanswered, I was plunged into despair and fury. With no other options, I gathered our things and managed to secure a room at a nearby hotel. Sitting in that impersonal room with my confused and upset son, I felt a profound shift within me. This was no temporary retreat. It was a forced eviction from a life I could no longer tolerate. As I was unpacking our essentials, my phone pinged with a new message from Ashley, which was odd given our strained communication. Her message was unnervingly cheerful. "Thought you might want to see what your beloved husband has been up to," accompanied by a link. With my curiosity piqued and anxiety tightening my chest, I clicked the link. It redirected me to a social media page filled with photos of Liam, not on an urgent business trip as he had claimed, but enjoying cozy dinners and beachside walks with another woman. The timestamp on the latest photo was just from yesterday. Numb and in shock, the phone nearly slipped from my hand as the reality hit me. Liam wasn't just away on business. He was living a whole other life without us. A sharp, bitter anger began to bubble up inside me as I faced the deceit and betrayal head-on. Before I could be consumed by my rage and heartbreak, my son's small voice pulled me back from the brink. "Mommy, are you okay?" His concern was evident, his eyes wide and worried. I forced a smile, lifting him into my arms. "Yeah, buddy, I'm okay. Just a little tired, that's all." As I sat there, anger and betrayal swirling inside me, I reflected on how I had become the financial pillar for Liam's failing restaurant and for his family, who had unceremoniously tossed us out like we were nothing. And there he was, living a lavish second life on my dime. Over the following week, my phone was a constant buzz with calls from Liam. When I finally picked up, his voice held a trace of concern. "Susan, where are you guys? I heard about what happened. You should come back. We have bills to sort out and the restaurant needs more funding." His words ignited a fury within me, but I managed a neutral tone. "Sure, Liam. We can discuss it. I'll come by tomorrow." He sounded relieved, thinking everything was going to settle into the old patterns. "Great. I think it's best to handle these things in person." Hanging up, a cold determination took hold of me. He was clueless about my awareness of his affair and my resolve to not play the part of the forgiving, financially supportive wife any longer. Tomorrow's meeting would be a decisive moment, and I was fully prepared for it. Dropping my son off at school, the next morning felt like the calm before the storm. As I drove to the house, where I knew Liam, Doris, and my pregnant sister-in-law, Ashley, would be waiting, my stomach churned with nerves and resolve. Upon arrival, Liam seemed genuinely relieved and perhaps even happy to see me, unlike Doris and Ashley, whose faces displayed clear discontent. Without delay, I pulled out the divorce papers from my bag and handed them to Liam. His shock was evident as he scanned the document. Doris and Ashley initially smiled, mistaking this for their triumph. However, their smiles quickly vanished as I addressed them firmly. "Don't be too quick to celebrate. You've been living off my efforts all this time." Liam's expression sank as he confessed to them that the restaurant was floundering and had been for a long time. Their initial glee turned to anger as they scolded him for keeping them in the dark and jeopardizing what they considered their financial safety net. Ashley, ever bold, sneered at me. "Well, since Liam makes less than you, he'll just have to file for alimony. How's that for justice?" Liam nodded, as if agreeing to some perverse victory. I nearly laughed at the absurdity. That's where you're wrong, Ashley and Liam, I retorted, facing him squarely. You won't see a cent for alimony. I know about the affair. The color drained from his face. How did you? Your sister sent me everything. Pictures, dates, places, I said, nodding toward Ashley, whose face turned ashen. Thanks to her, I have all the evidence I need. What followed was a furious exchange among them, a cacophony of accusations and denials. I let them drown in their quarrel for a moment before speaking up again. I'm also taking back everything I paid for, every appliance, every piece of furniture. Their arguing ceased as the reality of the situation dawned on them. I had arranged for movers, and as they began hauling away the refrigerator, the washing machine, and the flat-screen TV, the finality of my departure became undeniable. As I watched the movers haul away even the top-tier blender I had presented last Christmas, Doris and Ashley's tear-streaked faces mirrored their shock. You can't take these things away. We need them, Doris exclaimed, her voice tinged with anguish. My response was calm but firm. I've made this decision, and I need them as well. The movers efficiently cleared out a significant portion of their home's contents. Observing the final items being taken away, I felt a profound sense of liberation. I was finally freeing myself from this household, these relationships, and their deceit. Turning to look at Liam, he appeared diminished, his aspirations for quick wealth fading. Look after your sister and mom, Liam. That's now your role, I said softly, yet with resolve, before I turned to depart. Walking away, I realized this moment marked more than a mere physical departure. It was my definitive escape from their manipulative clutches, a step toward a fresh start for my son and me. The divorce, which came as a respite rather than a hardship, allowed me to secure a fair division and alimony for our son due to Liam's cheating. My lawyer managed the divorce efficiently, making the difficult process as smooth as possible. Life, however, grew more challenging for Liam's family. His restaurant, unsupported by my financial aid, collapsed. Their house was sold to cover debts, a stark reminder of their unsustainable habits. Doris and Ashley reached out in desperation, their messages a blend of apologies and requests for help. But I was determined not to be drawn back into their disorder. I blocked their numbers with no hesitation. Ashley's husband deserted her, leaving her and her family, Liam, his mother, and her niece, squeezed into a cramped rental. Their predicament was of their own making. Meanwhile, life for my son Terry and me was improving. We settled into a cozy apartment that felt increasingly like home. My social media platforms, where I engage with women, especially new mothers seeking to regain their fitness, were flourishing. This prompted me to start online fitness programs tailored for postpartum women, thrilled by the prospect of aiding others who had faced similar struggles. With so much ahead, the future seemed bright and full of potential. In our new home, filled with my son's joyful laughter, I felt a deep and enduring peace. We had overcome the tumult, and now it was our time to thrive.